I don't know if this is just me. Maybe I'm stressed at the moment.
Okay.
But do you know what I've noticed about this season so far? I think everyone, it seems like it for all the clubs, the vibes are weird.
Vibes are weird. Okay. I'm with you so far.
It feels like the football doesn't matter this season anymore. It's all about like the memes, the behind the scenes stuff. People care more about like Caicedo's shocking performance. Ha ha ha. Take that, Chelsea. Chelsea are like a meme. The whole thing just feels weird. It feels like the football is the least important aspect now.
You know what? I saw Love Island go the exact same way.
Exactly.
It used to be about the love.
Yeah.
And then it became about the getting your name on the Twitter challenge.
Exactly, yeah.
Once Stormzy's tweet came up, people said, that could be me. I could be Stormzy. And it wasn't about love anymore. It was all about and again afterwards, it was like all about the boohoo deals.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
How many are even married still, you know?
Yeah, exactly. It's the same. Football is the new Love Island, Carl. Everyone's saying it. Everyone's thinking it at least.
I think that's a fair point. I don't think anybody can disagree with that. You know, it's gone the way of Love Island and we need a new presenter.
Exactly. That's all we need.
And by presenter, we mean us, of course.
Yeah. Get us in there.
We need to present the new Premier League island of love and money. Because we love money. Yeah. It's a perfect fit.
I tell you, any day now, someone's going to pick us up, Carl. They have to.
Oh, God. If we keep asking desperately enough, they will.
It works for most people.
No, honestly, that is nonsense. Nonsense. All nonsense.
They say many garbage things.
You don't know what you're going to get.
Melodrama upon melodrama.
This is utter, shameful, disgraceful piece of nonsense.
He was miles off it yesterday.
You'll learn a lot more if you listen rather than talk all
Plenty
the
of
time.
time, no problem.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to a No Nonsense podcast with Cathal and Will. Premier League's back. World Cup is done and dusted.
Yep.
Spain stopped it from coming home again.
Yeah.
Spain, only the second country, Will, to win the World Cup in both men's and women's.
Really? Germany?
They got there before I could finish the question.
Get in.
Germany, the only other one. I thought it was England, to be honest. But no, apparently it's Germany. But yeah, fair play to the Spanish.
Did you see, was it Prince Harry or one of the princes before the game, or after the game, sorry, a slip of the tongue, he said, hey, they left absolutely nothing on that field.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's how you know he doesn't mean it, because he's not even bothered to get the fucking cliche right. It's like, they gave 100 and something of their time or something. You know what I mean, though. 100 and something. Yeah. No, they're very good, the Spanish. Because I haven't watched all the games. Again, a lot of them happen when I'm at work. But apparently they were kind of spinning it a bit, like passing around, going over. But they're very direct when I saw them in the final.
Yeah.
I mean, a bit of personal news for me, Will. I think I'm inextricably linked with Kevin De Bruyne.
Oh, yeah?
At least my hamstrings are.
He did his.
Remember last time he did his hamstring, and I showed up to the podcast and I said, "Do you have any? I need a bag of peas." Stat. Yeah. Same thing.
You've done it again.
I was only looking at his Instagram post in his monotone house with him on crutches after hamstring surgery. I was like, "That's weird. I never got a surgery after doing a hamstring. It wasn't really badly." And then the last day there was a storm on Friday night. We had a game. The game's at 7:30. We left the dressing room at 7:15, just hoping the game would be called off or something. I don't know. So less than 15 minutes of warm up, and then I pulled it almost immediately. Last at halftime, then just 2 minutes into halftime, I was like, the second half, I was like, all right, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I didn't want to go off the first half because it would look bad, because it looked like it was raining and I wanted to go home.
Oh, they're not at it today, lads.
Yeah, for the sake of the boys, you know, I didn't want to lose face like that.
I'm sure they love that, you hobbling around. Go off already.
Well, someone else, I was going to go off, and someone else went off before me on our team as well. So two people did their hamstrings, so didn't warm up properly. So maybe he also feels like he's inextricably linked with Kevin De Bruyne. But anyways, I feel I am. And actually, I got my first, you hear about opposition players, getting your number and texting you.
Yeah.
and saying, hope you're all right, man. How's the hamstring doing? I had my first one of them ever, and it was an ultra, of course.
No way.
Yes, one of the ultras.
I know. Yeah, he asked me for your number now that you
Did
mentioned
it? That's what it was. And I felt like a Premier League player. Get well soon. Fist emoji, arm emoji.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, no, that's it's like kind of being in Fight Club, being ultra.
You
see each other and you go, I know I can tell from your expression that you listen to my podcast.
I can tell by the way you're shielding your eyes, hoping I don't see you.
Yeah. What I found was weird is that by being an ultra, you have my number. You have my number. You have my home address. You have my bank code. Everything that I have of you, you have of me.
Yeah.
So if you want to become ultra today, sign up at patreon.com/a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
$4.50 a month. You get an extra podcast a week. We talk about allegations, typically this weather.
It normally is, yeah.
It's normally various allegations against different footballers across the world that break seemingly every other day. We give our thoughts on that. We also do another podcast after the nonsense where we talk about different stuff. Maybe football related, maybe not, but it's definitely more casual than this, if you can imagine.
Imagine that.
But I tell all this, Will. I tell all about my hamstring woes. Because it was Saturday morning, Sunday morning, when the Women's World Cup was on.
Sunday, yeah.
So, of course, as we all know, when you have a hamstring, you got to ice it up to 3 days afterwards, 20 minutes at a time, 2-3 times a day. We all know that. So I get up and I'm, making a bit of breakfast, maybe a cup of coffee or whatever. And I go, oh yeah, shit, Women's World Cup. I'm going to stick that on, right? So I stick on the Women's World Cup. They're all lining up. And I go, I'll ice my knee. I'll ice my hamstring as I'm doing it. I have like a compression pouch for the hamstring for the ice.
Yeah.
Because, you don't put ice throughout the skin.
Yeah.
You got to have like a layer between. But I was like, well, I don't need my traction bombs and the compression pouch.
I see where it's going.
So TV's on. The women are lining up. I have my pants down on my ankles. And I'm like fiddling, trying to strap something around my leg. Sarah walks in and goes, what are you watching?
It's just the football.
I'm just, it's not what it looks like. This is the thing as well. Well, this is another point, I think, as the women's games have grown. There's no chance 4 years ago, Sunday morning, I'm sticking on the Women's World Cup.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I wanted to watch it. It was a great game. It was a really good game. We watched, obviously, the group games with Ireland in it. We were a bit nervous, a bit inexperienced. This game was really high level.
Yeah, the two teams who've been there, they get it.
Yeah, no. Two very good quality teams. Now, like I said, the final was great, technically excellent. I think the women's game has grown hugely on the back of this. Like even the Euros, I think it was 2 years ago, I guess, was England won it. I wasn't really watching it, to be honest. I watch it now, though.
Oh, definitely, yeah. Even say if the unthinkable happens and Ireland aren't in it, I'd still watch it.
No, I'd still watch it.
Yeah. Whereas this World Cup, it needed Ireland to be in it for me to get in. And then once I was in, I was like, oh, that's actually a good player. Like I watched more of Australia's games because I liked watching them when Ireland played them.
Yeah, like Sam Kerr's goal against England was unbelievable. And I wouldn't watch that if Ireland were in it. But like, how many people over the years only watched the men's game because Ireland were in it?
Exactly.
Like, that's how you get in it. Like that's not even a slide on anybody. It's like, it's literally the bandwagon. It's like, if a team that I could support in it, then I'll watch it. I'll talk about the teams I can know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's what sport is.
Hopefully the next international tournament isn't blighted by so many of the teams coming in not being respected by their FAs and managers alike. Because it seemed like there was 2 or 3 teams in every single group where it was like, oh, it's turmoil. Like behind the scenes is a nightmare here trying to get to this World Cup and not for footballing reasons. Yeah,
like Spain obviously won the World Cup. They had an unbelievable team. And if you didn't know, they had players that would have made the team who stayed at home.
Yeah.
They're protesting the whole setup. It's a familiar story with this World Cup, in the Women's World Cup. Protesting the kind of lack of organisation, the lack of, infrastructure that they've been given, funding, all that kind of stuff, like buses showing up late, coaches not bothering.
I did see a clip of the last international tournament the Spanish team won. I'm not sure what it was. It might have been like an underage tournament or one of the international ones, but it was a clip of the women walking up to a table in the middle of the stadium to pick up their own medals because the Spanish FA didn't send any intermediaries to do it like out of respect. They were just like, just pick up the medals yourselves, girls.
Yeah, like that kind of shit where it's like, yeah, is it the most important thing on the day? No, but it's those kind of frills and stuff that makes this. Well, you know what it is? You see it in the men's.
Yeah.
So when you see it not in the women's, it's just your brain says this is a Mickey Mouse thing. This isn't important.
Yeah.
They don't even have someone to give them the medals. Like, what fucking underage tournament doesn't have someone giving you the trophy, giving you the medals? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just the basics like that they aren't, like, again, it's not the main infrastructure of the thing, but it's just important for, you know, respect and to make it seem like it's actually important to people.
Yeah.
You know, which clearly it isn't if they're not going to bother, you know, sending someone. But yeah, I mean, I guess we kind of have to talk about the stuff that happened after the game.
Yeah.
The guy that they all hate, essentially,
Yeah.
in the Spanish FA, Johnny L. Sins.
Yeah.
He was involved in a weird kind of embrace with the Spanish player, Jenny Hermoso.
So this is from the Guardian. The headline is Spanish FA chief admits kiss somewhat tarnished Women's World Cup win. It was a triumphant moment across Spain and around the world, a precedent-setting show of talent that offered a tantalising preview of what lies ahead for women's football. But the day after Spain's women won the World Cup, it was their country's football chief, a 45-year-old man who was dominating the Spanish headlines. So essentially after the game, the Spanish FA chief, Luis Rubiales, came up to the forward Jenny Hermoso, and instead of a pat on the back or on the shoulder or a shake of the hands, he grabbed her by the head and then kissed her on the lips and pulled her face to his and then like pushed her away. After Hermoso was on a live stream, she was asked about it. She said she didn't like it and later added, "But what can I do?"
Is what it is, kind of thing.
Yeah, which is insane. That is what it is.
Yeah. Now, you might be saying, listen, I've seen TV shows, I've seen movies. People in Spain kiss all the time, always kissing each other.
Yeah.
It's a form of sexual violence women suffer on a daily basis, Spain's Equality Minister Irene Montero said. Now, the fact that they have an equality minister would tell you that they're obviously trying to stop or fight certain stuff. And she's definitely on the side of this. So we should not assume kissing without consent is something that happens, she said. Spain's sports minister Miguel Iceta told Spanish public radio that it was unacceptable. The first thing he has to do is give explanations and make apologies. Is logical and reasonable thing to do. So it's not like kind of it's a cultural thing, you know. You just don't get it, you know.
He Rubiales also he's not really apologized, but today he said we saw it as something natural, normal, and not in bad faith. But there are people who've been hurt by this, and I have to apologize. There is no other way, is there? He said it somewhat tarnished the celebration. Do you know what he said when he was asked about it yesterday?
I do, but for the people, Will.
He said it was a kiss between two friends celebrating something. He dismissed those who saw it differently as idiots and stupid people. He said, let's ignore them and enjoy the good things.
Oh, God. Yeah, and look, the only thing is, it was, Hermoso did say, initially, didn't like it, but she came out with a statement kind of defending him afterwards. It was a totally spontaneous, mutual gesture because of the immense joy that winning a World Cup brings, said the 31-year-old, who's Spain's all-time leading scorer. So, I mean, maybe it is a culture thing as well, but people aren't happy about it. She was unhappy initially, but then she's thinking, listen, I don't want to burn bridges with the FA. Should I? You know, you never know what the political implications are of these things as well.
Yeah.
Which may also speak to the problems of this, that you feel like you can't speak your mind. Because she said something initially kind of under no pressure, then thought about it and said, actually, maybe I shouldn't say that.
Yeah,
maybe I should. So look, we're guessing here big time. But it did look weird, you know, I can say that much.
It for sure tarnished that is the biggest news story from the Women's World Cup final.
Yeah, that's what everyone's talking about, you know. And I think, again, if it was everything else was fine, maybe it wouldn't be as big a story. But because of the, you know, there's players at home who were protesting the whole thing. There's been, you know, problems with loads of teams throughout the tournaments. It's obviously going to, you know, be a story, you know, because it's not an isolated incident. That's the thing. Speaking of things not being isolated incidents, I watched, Will, Diary of a CEO, a podcast I've heard about a lot, but never watched.
Before we get into it, when you said to me before we recorded this that you had listened to the whole interview we're about to talk about.
Yeah.
That is the most commitment anyone has ever showed to this podcast.
Oh, thanks, man.
Listen to an hour and a half of Stephen Bartlett being very intense and serious in his questions is tough going, I think.
Well, I listened to a 1.25 speed.
Yeah. Now it makes sense.
Well, a lot of pauses, a lot of dramatic pauses. Like, I get it. You know, it's bad. Get to the good stuff.
You had the half the videos Diary of a CEO, other half was Subway Surfers.
And a tiny bit in the corner, I was watching Oppenheimer.
Yeah. Some Family Guy.
Yeah.
In May 26th, you did a famous tweet. I'll speak soon with no filter. You ready to speak?
100%.
Ivan Toney!
Ivan Toney handed an 8-month ban.
Seismic news for the Premier League.
That sums it all up!
Football is brutal.
No, listen, it was something that I felt I had to watch because it's one of those things you don't want to get wrong either. You don't want to be kind of just saying stuff because it's, you know, obviously the story is, the narrative, if you will, is man bets on football isn't allowed to.
Yeah.
Banned.
And he's sponsored by football too. Or by betting, sorry.
Yeah, well, and that's the big issue, that betting is just like so synonymous. Like, you try and watch football without a betting ad coming up, you know, good luck.
Yeah.
You know, be it by illegal streaming or by the paid subscription, you know, you're going to get bombarded with betting ads. Fancy a flutter, you know, all the fucking time. So I remember the Ladbrokes Life shit that everyone hated. That was a bit too far. That was a bit before its time, because that was like, you can be like the lads betting all the weekend. Is that fun? You know, it's like, it's everywhere. You know, so there's a wider thing here. So I wanted to hear his side of the story.
Yeah.
You know, I wanted to see what he thought. I mean, your man is very good, Steve Martin. He didn't just go straight into it. He talked about, you know, tell me about yourself.
Yeah.
Tell me about football. He kind of set it up as like, you know, football is a cruel and unforgiving mistress, you know. And they talked about his different clubs that he went to and how he was rejected. And he was getting a big move to Wolves, Premier League side. And he got introduced to the team, met the players, met the staff, got a squad number. And then Wolves said, actually, we're pulling the plug on the deal over the scoliosis in your back. Now, in his mind, this was something that was known.
Yeah.
It was known to them. And this is where the kind of conspiracy theory starts with Ivan Toney, that like, what was it really? You know, because that was kind of known. I thought that is weird that, you know, if that was known. But as the interview went on, I thought, yeah, maybe it wasn't known, but given the other stuff that you said, Ivan Toney. But yeah, he went back to Northampton then. He kept grinding, kept waking up every day, grinding, pursuing. And he eventually got a big move to Newcastle, which I didn't know he was at Newcastle.
No, neither.
But he was there briefly and went on loan. This is during the Rafa Benitez years when trying to keep them up. The whole thing, he starts up setting up with this kind of like, you know, you tried, you got knocked back, you know, you get setbacks, all this kind of stuff. And then I think after that he went to Brentford. Do you know, and that was the kind of start of like, and then you scored 20 goals, and it was like, you know, how do you kind of, you're up there with Kane and Haaland, you know, how do you get up there kind of thing. Kind of, you know, talk about his career and all that kind of stuff. And then slowly went to the England call up, and then it was like, okay, and then obviously you didn't get there for England. Tell me about that.
Yes. This is the clip, because I saw the trailer for this podcast, which, by the way, the most dramatic trailer I've ever seen.
It's a great trailer.
Yeah. I was like, wow, this is going he's about to name names.
Yeah, well, my feeling on it is that he feels a bit hard done by, to be honest.
Yeah. Still.
Like, there was the investigation. The FA come to him, they come to Brentford, and they say, you know, you've been kind of, they're investigating you for match fixing. They want to see your phones from like up to 2015. Now, he said, I think fairly, he was like, I don't have my phone from 2015.
Yeah, no one
does.
does.
Like that's, no one does, you know, so I can't give you those text messages, you know. So he was saying they came out with all the allegations at first, and was like, you know, we'll give you your phone from 2015, give me this, give me that. And in the reports, they conclude that he lied in his initial interview. And he was like, well, it wasn't I lied, I didn't remember some stuff. I didn't have some, I cooperated fully, you know, but I just didn't, there's so much information coming out. At first, I didn't remember certain things, you know. Then he would later go on to admit that he did lie. He said at the start, I didn't lie, I just got things wrong. And then went on and go, yeah, no, I thought I'll just deny, they won't find anything. That's a quote from it. So I was like, oh man, who's your PR guy?
I did think this, what kind of PR guy is letting him do an hour and a half podcast interview, tell all interview?
where he just perjures himself there. He said he didn't lie, just didn't remember, and then said, I did lie. I thought they wouldn't find anything. I was like, oh, for fuck's sake, And then the rest of it is all just fucking, a joke then, because it's like, well, you're lying now again, or how do I know? Now I will say they got Dr. Philip Hopley in to analyze him, and he concluded they did have a gambling addiction. So I mean, it was compulsive, like say he said like he'd get his bills sorted, his family sorted, all that kind of stuff, and then said, okay, right, what do I have left now to play with? And he said because it makes so much money, he'd stick on a couple of grand bet. I'll make it next week. I'll get paid every week. Yeah. So I win or I don't. But it was like
it's the same as a regular average better, but it's just his wages are so much bigger. So it seems like it's like, whoa, this guy's a huge problem. But it's just the percentage wise, it's the same kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I guess someone who was really down in the dirt would be getting a loan to win it back.
Yeah.
Whereas he wasn't betting more than he had. Do you know what I mean? So you can always go higher. You can always bet more and then go, oh, fuck, I need to get a loan off somebody.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, and like you say, he wasn't like, fuck the bills. Once I win this bet, I can pay all the bills. You know, he was like, pay the bills first, now I can play.
Yeah.
So he wasn't like too far gone, I suppose. But one of the biggest issues with this, and the report found this, that he says that he didn't know he wasn't allowed to gamble.
Oh, come on, man.
Look,
give over.
I will say you can't look at things from your own point of view.
That's true.
Like he went into football very young. He's concentrated on getting scholarships. That's what he described in the interview about getting a scholarship at Leicester and Northampton. I guess that's one of the things they do to keep on schoolboys.
Yeah.
He's not learning about anything that we learned about. He's not watching. I remember years ago watching, I think it was Kevin Doyle on the Late Late Show. Very, very nonchalantly saying about, if I was a betting man, we're not allowed to bet, of course, but I would say Wolves are going to stay up. Yeah. He was playing for Wolves at the time. But I remember him saying that quite clearly, that he wasn't allowed to bet. And that maybe was my first thing. But I probably wasn't watching TV. He was fucking training all the time. Like, you can't look at things through your own point of view. However, he did have a family member who was embroiled in a betting scandal in 2007.
Oh, no.
So the interviewer said that.
He did know.
The interviewer said that to him. I said, so that's what the commission thought that you did have knowledge of, because you had a family member who was a very similar thing, before, years ago. I said, it was kind of like a gray area to me. Kind of like a gray area. He said, sometimes you hear you couldn't, and other times you could hear you could. I wasn't sure, I was like, okay, you couldn't, before you put in that first bet for 10 grand.
Didn't ask the
Google,
agent.
Quick Google up there, can footballers bet in their own games? Done.
Quick email to the Premier League offices.
Anything, so, that was the thing. So before, when he said that he lied before, it's like, well, you could be lying now. The other bit of evidence, and your man, the interview, Barry pointed this out as well, that there was a text on his phone that said, mate, I can't have this in my name. So, I mean, the evidence points that he did, on some level, know.
Yeah.
And one of the more damning things is that he wasn't doing the bets himself. He was getting someone else to put the bets on.
Yeah, so he does know then.
But you know what his excuse was for that? Sorry, I won't say excuse. That's because of negative connotations. His defense was that he didn't want his parents to find out that he was betting, and the post goes to his house. I guess your winnings.
Yeah,
because you can't do it on the app because it'll trace the bank account or whatever. So he was doing it in person, I guess. I don't fucking know how betting works. I don't really bet. Maybe betting in large amounts, they send you like confirmation out to your home or something. I don't know. But your man said, listen, mate, no one who's 27 has their parents up on their post. Like, you can't be saying that, He said, well, this was when I was younger, we're a very tight-knit family, and I would have had stuff like, receipts for different stuff I bought, because he said when he was younger, when he got to Newcastle, he had like a personal shopper. He thought he was
so crazy.
He said he was spending money like he was going out of fashion. You know what I mean? He was crazy with money, And again, this is somebody who come from a poor enough background, doesn't have experience with money. We're not taught in school. He definitely wasn't taught in school.
Yeah.
He didn't go to school as long as we did, for one. Do you know what I mean? So like, there is stuff that kind of thinks, okay, if I want to put myself in his shoes, you can see why this stuff kind of lines up.
Yeah.
But other stuff where, the text messages, mate, I can't have this in my name. Why, Tony?
Come on, man. I just think so.
Because it's a grey area, man. Everyone says this. Like, it's like, And then they kind of went on to say, you know, like about the punishment, and that not only is he not allowed to play, but he's not allowed to train with the club. We thought, you know, that's
excessive.
a bit excessive, and he could be, you know, in the training ground with kids telling them about, you know, the dangers of betting and stuff like that, right? Which I'm like, all right, grand. But also in the interview, he said, yeah, no one ever told me specifically I couldn't bet. Now, every club I was at, we had someone come in and tell me how bad betting was and how it had ruined my life. But no one actually told me specifically. So I was like, okay, so you had someone come in when you were 16, 17 to tell you that betting was bad, and you did anyway. So why do you think you going in would do the same thing? You know,
no one specifically sat me down and said, don't bet. There was some guy who mentioned something about how betting is the devil or something, though.
No, he said at every club he was at, someone said that.
Every club.
Every club he was at, someone came in and said, betting is the worst thing, don't do it. He's like, I haven't heard a no. I haven't heard specifically that I can't bet.
They're saying you shouldn't do it. They're not saying I can't.
That's you, man. That's you. I'm built different, as he said in the interview, you know? Now, look, the rest of him do is kind of like, you know, I'm going to come back stronger. He also said, this is nothing. I'm going to come back stronger than this. I was like, again, PR guy.
Don't say this is nothing.
If there's a PR guy, he should be sacked because the wording was all wrong, the lying, you know, I didn't know. It was a gray area. I was like, don't say gray area. God, like that.
It's definitely black and white letter of the law.
Oh, stop. No, I give it some, you know, you have to look at it from his point of view as well, but I just think there's too much inconsistency in it.
Yeah.
Apparently he was given a year ban first, and then there's the FA and there's the commission who decided, and they reduced it. But it was all about kind of making an example of Ivan Toney for lower league players, that like you can't get away with it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then Ivan Toney cited other people in lower leagues who had done the same, done worse, who got off less. So I was like, again, like, I mean,
so you know all these people.
well, maybe this is afterwards when he sees that, like, when he's looking it up or whatever. But like, again, from a PR point of view, you can't be saying in one breath, I'm taking full responsibility, but then saying, well, people did worse and they got less, you know. It's like, well, that shouldn't be anything to do with what you did. If you really do feel remorse and really feel you messed up and you should be punished, then, you know. So it was all over the place. You know, his message was all over the place. Your man, Bartley, was just trying his best to get him to sign for Man United. That was
weird. Also, like, it's the whole thing of, like, you've just interviewed him for an hour saying, like, he has all these issues with, like, betting.
Yeah.
Just told you he's not training for the last 8 months, and you're like, oh, get him into United. He'd just turn us all around. He's fucking banned.
Yeah, but well, it was a strange tone to it. Like, I guess in the past, maybe, you know, young black millionaire footballer who's been cheating would have been dragged over the coals. You know, being like, do you feel sorry? Don't you? You know, you ruin people's lives with betting. You know, why did you do it? You're wrong. It was very much kind of like, give me your side of the story, you know? And he was given total opportunity to say what he wanted to say. And then in the end, it wasn't even kind of condemning. Like, he did push him at some point. He said, listen, if I'm 27, my mom's not open my post, like, be real.
Yeah.
And he said, well, that was when I was younger and I was living at home and we were tight with family. It didn't kind of push him and say, that's bollocks, man, you know, own up to it. Own up to it. Which, again, I remember, do you remember years ago, Dapper Laughs?
Yeah.
He came on in the turtleneck to apologise for his heinous Snapchat skits.
Yeah.
And what does Dapper Laughs do now? What does Dan O'Reilly do now?
Dapper Laughs is gone.
Like, you know, like, we've seen it before where, like, when someone does wrong and they agree to an interview, they're, like, just annihilated. This was not one of those ones. It's worth a kind of listen to kind of hear, I suppose. But, yeah, I'm not convinced that he won't bet again. That's my take on it. I mean, he said he won't. He said he doesn't bet anymore at all. And he's saying, look, he thinks about, you know, honestly, he said he thinks about the money he spent on betting and what he could have spent on other things. And, you know, so hopefully, like, he's been diagnosed by a professional as a gambling addict, so I shouldn't laugh at it. But I just found some of the inconsistencies too much to kind of feel that sorry for him, you know?
And it's the whole thing of going on Diary of a CEO to do an hour and a half of talking. It's like, you're allowed be criticized, and I think
yeah, look, if you put it out there, you're allowed to be criticized. But I do. It's like I said, the wider thing is betting and sport. I mean, I think a year ago or a couple years ago, it was like 19 or 18 of the 20 teams had betting sponsored on the front of their jersey.
Yeah,
you know, he also said that he started betting when he was 15.
Yeah.
You know, betting companies don't want to hear that on Diary CEO. I was like, oh shit, you know, like it's kind of like smoking. Do you know what I mean? Like, people start young. You know, we don't, it's like, oh, it's for only over 18s only. It's like, yeah, but you do target them.
Yeah, exactly.
You do target under 18s, and betting companies do as well. Do you know what I mean? Like,
well, like the whole Paddy Power campaign of like, we're like a funny Twitter profile they did for years, still do. Like, we're like a comedy sketch thing aimed at kind of, 17 to 21 year olds.
yeah, you know, all the graphics they have outside, like the kind of bobblehead big.
Yeah.
Like, it's very kind of cartoonish.
Yeah.
It's not like make money now. Like the online poker.
Yeah.
That is for adults. That is for like, play with the best poker players in the world. It's like, hell yeah, dude. I'm going to win. It's not the betting is a bit kind of wacky and fun, and like the lads, which when you're 16 you love, by the way.
Yeah, all the ads are fellas in the pub on their phone with people cheering all around them.
Yeah, I think the Peter Crouch one. Like that's when you're before you've actually been to an awful pub, you think that sounds class.
We're all making so much money.
Yeah, no one ever loses at this. So, like, yeah, you have to look at the kind of the holistic view of it and say, yeah, sure, he did wrong, but I mean, is it easy to just blame the individual, or you have to look at why someone like him, with all the money that he's making, is being, sucked into this gambling thing?
Yeah,
So yeah, look, it's he'll be back in January if he signs for Man United.
Yeah,
who knows?
Well, what club did he say? Because the trailer cut him off before he said, I want to play for, and then there was an explosion sound effect.
Yeah, I did see that. I don't remember that being in an interview. He did talk about, well, at first he kind of lined him up saying, I'm sure you feel like a lot of kind of loyalty to Brentford now because they've stood up for you and they've backed you. It's like, oh yeah, no, definitely. And then swiftly kind of moved into, but if I was to sell, he said, listen, the manager knows I want to play at the highest level. He did that kind of thing. And maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. But we'll see how the relationship with Brentford and Thomas Frank develops in the next few days. I'd say keep your eye on that one.
Yeah, I'm sure the club is thrilled he did an hour and a half long podcast.
Yeah. I'd say it was clear, but I mean, it did seem a bit kind of like, I'm going to leave when I get back in. Yeah. I don't know. Because your man was like, listen, last year you finished behind Haaland and you're behind Kane. Kane's gone. Technically, you're the second best striker in the league.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah. So, the more I think about it, maybe I'm the best.
Yeah. This is why I came on the podcast.
So, but he was saying that he's been a Liverpool fan since he was a boy. He loved the way Arsenal play. And then your mum was like, anything about Man United? Anything you like about Man United?
They're very rich.
So I don't remember he exactly saying I'm going to sign for this team if I had to, but I mean he was throwing a few names around. I mean honestly, Saudi Arabia might come calling.
Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest bag you can get.
He talked at the end, I suppose. Again, this is where I get a sense of the kind of feeling hard done by, talking about like kind of fake friends and fake family members come out the woodwork, asking about how's Ivan getting on since the betting scandal, like looking for kind of gossip and details on like, is he depressed? Is he really, he said no one was asking, like these people weren't asking about me when I got called up for England or when I scored 20 odd goals in the Premier League. They were nowhere to be found. When it was down, now they all come out of the woodwork. He was talking about like being at the petrol station and members of the public shouting abuse at him, asking like, oh, who do you fancy today, Ivan? Who you put dinner on? Like. So he feels a bit kind of like fuck everyone else but me, I think, at this point. I don't know if I mentioned it, but at the start he was saying that he felt the timing was a bit weird once he got called up for England, that these kind of allegations came out from years ago that people didn't want him playing for England.
I saw he said someone's out to get him.
But then he also, like any great conspiracy theorist like myself, he said, but look, I don't really know anything about that.
You make up your own decisions.
I don't know what I'm talking about really, but that's just how I feel.
Do your own research.
Yeah, do your own DD, But so listen, I don't know. It was interesting, but yeah, I think maybe Brentford won't be too happy with it, but I think they're probably pretty smart themselves, and anything they think about this interview, they'll discuss internally, maybe even without Ivan Toney, and they'll have a fail safe, I'd say, if it does blow up.
They seem like a club who is very well run, very well able for a scandal. They assess everything level-headedly and decide. Which brings us on to The big news from today is Man United put out there's statements flying out left and right from Man United. Some contradicted others, some happening just as news was about to break.
Yeah.
So it came out today that Mason Greenwood is officially not coming back to the Man United squad. He's not gone. They're still paying his wages. He's still under contract because you can't just get rid of someone for no reason. In their eyes, is like he's under contract. He hasn't technically broken.
He hasn't breached the contract rules. Yeah.
But he's officially out of the squad. He's not coming back. So a few days ago, August 16th, a journalist from The Athletic, Adam Crafton, put up a Twitter thread, which definitely shook a few people in Man United because they instantly put out a statement and started acting. The news was coming out over the last few months that Greenwood's coming back. They're lining it up. Yeah. Things are in motion. So Adam Crafton said, this morning I approached Man United with a series of facts relating to their internal, and he has it in quotes, process on Mason Greenwood, which included the detail, undisputed by the club, that Chief Executive Arnold told his executive team and staff that the club is planning to bring Greenwood back. The usual protocol is that a responder would respond to the journalist first and foremost, so any background or comment can be inserted into the story to ensure balance and accuracy. So he, came to them and said, hey, I'm putting out a story. Do you want to have your say? I don't want it to be biased or anything.
Yeah.
And they, at 3:45 in the day, immediately put out a hastily written statement on their club website.
Yeah.
Which tried to dispute lots of things from Adam Crafton and never gave him a quote also for his story, so, which is just cheek.
Yeah, which is just disrespectful, Fuck that journalist.
Yeah. And basically they were like... in the statement, they said that, we're doing our due process. We've been in contact with people. Not all the details are known by the public.
Yeah.
And, we have to ensure we support Greenwood. He's been here since he's a child. He's a new father now. All this. Adam Crafton responded, personal readings, United are unsettled and now panicking that aspects of their choreographed plan made public, and they are now witnessing a significant social backlash. In the article, Adam Crafton mentioned that they had a list of pundits, politicians, charities, and podcasters who would be labelled hostile to Greenwood returning. All the domestic abuse charities were labelled as hostile under official documents. And they also had the media plan of this day, we're putting up a picture of him training like this, and this is going to be the caption. And a slow build up to he's back in the squad and everyone's happy again.
It seems kind of dark that they had a whole social media plan for it. Maybe that's just an alien thing to us to have a social media plan. But for this, it was like,
how far ahead are you planning?
But planning the training shots of he's back. I guess mainly my whole thing with the social media not being kind of instant anymore. The Instagram, it's planned by everybody. But at the same time, it's you're planning this kind of, we'll take a shot of him in training. It's it's so choreographed and so awful.
Yeah, and it does. So there was a huge backlash to all this everywhere. There was lots of politicians coming out. A lot of just regular United fans and folks saying, don't bring him back, please. That'd be an absolute nightmare. There was some United staff threatening to strike over it because they didn't know. And when they heard, they were like, ooh, I wasn't consulted on that. United tried to also say, we're not bringing them back until we talk to the England women's team. Once they're back, we'll see how they feel about it, as if it was up to them, which obviously... Yeah,
the Man United players for England. Such a cowardly move to put it on the women to what do you think about this? Your decision, by the way. You can then deal with it. Because there's people online who are in favor as well. It's no, you can get the abuse.
Yeah, exactly.
Make sure those DMs are open. You're going to want to see this.
And I think that kind of that aspect of we talked about all the Mason Greenwood profile picture boys, it seemed like they were everywhere on Twitter.
Yeah.
But I think when the actual backlash came, it did kind of become clear that they're the social or the vocal minority. That is not.
It's so hard to know online what percentage of any population, be it Man United fans or be it the population at large, what is that, you know? But it seemed like they were, say, the vocal minority in the end.
Yeah. And so it seems like any other well-run business would actually, if they wanted to do this, they would actually survey and see okay, what is the real percentage of people who want this back, and will this be a nightmare for us if we try go ahead with it? But it seems like they kind of just believed the few tweets they saw and went, we can get away with this, lads. We don't have to sell them after all.
Honestly, though, that seems kind of disgusting as well, like gauging the public opinion.
Yeah,
which is what they did.
Yeah.
They like, do you have a stance on it or not?
Exactly, yeah. And that is the thing. I think that's what's annoyed most United fans. Definitely me. I know when I was watching the Spurs game and when they went a goal down, I was kind of like, good. I kind of hope they have a bad run for a while. Like they've just been they've acted so horribly in the last few weeks. And even today, then after the huge backlash to their nasty, evil plan that became public, they were like, we've concluded our investigation and actually we're not going to bring it back. So it's like,
still trying to save face of like, oh, we actually uncovered some stuff at the end, right at the end, actually, that swayed the decision.
Yeah.
It's like the whole thing, obviously, if you've seen it, it's the voice notes and the pictures.
Yeah.
Like, look, we can name them like forever here, the players in the last like year who've been accused and who've been, Danny Alves is in prison right now. Like there's loads of them out there. But with this one, it was just that, like the Ronaldo one. Like Ronaldo was obviously hired by Man United there and ended badly for different reasons.
Yeah.
But apparently there's a really tough to read transcript out there.
yes, there is.
Which is part of the reason that he's not allowed to go to America. And if you look at Real Madrid's preseason tour, Juve's tour between 2018 and 2020, United, there's a gap there where they don't go to America because Ronaldo's in the team. And it's like, you might think that's hard to ignore, but like people can still rationalize and go, well,
I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it. There's two sides to every story, whatever it is, or people just aren't that engaged in it. The Greenwood stuff, like we saw and we heard stuff that you can't kind of unsee and only hear.
Yes.
You can't kind of say, out of context or whatever. And like, I didn't hear Man United or Greenwood say that wasn't me in the recordings.
No, there was never an apology of any kind. There was never anything.
There was never saying, that was taken out of context, that wasn't real. They just said, there's other stuff you don't know about.
Yeah. Which is just like the only way that can be interpreted is like, you should have seen what she said to him. Like, that's what it feels like.
But it's like you're talking about the other stuff because you can't talk away. This, like, the Ronaldo stuff obviously was out there, but maybe if there was a video of someone reading out the transcript, in a short form video, people would have gone, oh, that's actually pretty bad. And like, to be fair, that plane flew over Man United when he on his debut, wasn't it, for Man United?
Yeah.
So there was still people who were like, this isn't right, and they were willing to hire a plane to go over. But it just wasn't as visceral as this Greenwood stuff. It's so unavoidable. You can't kind of turn a blind eye. And people do to all sorts of things. They go, well, look, sure, you don't know yourself. But like when you see that and you hear that, you go, that's it. Like, that's just fucking awful.
Adam Crafton also didn't stop there at literally pretty much single-handedly taking this plan down just by asking them, are you really doing this? And they just freaked out and bottled it. But he was back on the case today. So in their statements, they say, they've contacted everyone involved, blah, blah, blah. Adam Crafton said that United never spoke to the victim ever. They spoke to the victim's parents and Mason Greenwood's family. They never spoke to the victim once. Which,
Jesus.
Yeah, and then also in United's statement and Greenwood's statement on Twitter, in both statements they said he was found clear of all charges, which he wasn't.
Cleared of all charges, which is not true.
No.
The charges were dropped, which is a very different thing.
Yeah, exactly. But like both of them put it out, and it's just like, well, that's just a blatant lie in both of your statements.
It's like, you missed this or the goalie saved it. It's like two very different things. Like, it's like, the same outcome. But I mean, that's not, one, someone was involved, one, the other person wasn't. Like, the family and the victim withdrew the evidence. And she would being a witness.
Yeah.
So like, that was the main, like, so you can't say that he was found innocent. Do you know what I mean? Like, you fucking weren't.
Exactly. So yeah, when I saw United losing quite easily to Spurs, it was.
Well, I thought that might be the fucking thing that gets him back in. To be honest, I thought they fucking need him here. They're so bad here. This might.
That was the issue. Yeah, is that not only do desperately need a striker, somebody who can score goals, but also they don't really have the money to be thrown around for people at the moment. And he would have solved so much problems for Ten Hag and United as a club. And it did apparently seem like Ten Hag was very like vocal of being like, get him back. I don't care what's going on.
He certainly wasn't saying I won't play him. He like it seems like he wants him, which, I mean, given the results they've had recently, is not a good look for Ten Hag.
No, it's not. And it has come out since that, like, he's had quotes where he's backed other players who've been like found guilty of bad stuff, and he was very vocal of backing Mark Overmars when he was booted from Ajax over sexual harassment claims. And he said, "Oh, I hope he comes back someday. It was a dream working with him." It's like, man, So it just sours the whole relationship, I think, with him.
The whole start to this United campaign has been an absolute disaster. I mean, they really do lack leadership at the top of that club, it seems like. I mean, they're obviously still, for some reason, in the midst of this, like, selling of the club. Yeah. I'd say there's people there who just want fucking rid of us. Like, I just want to finish this thing, get out, and then this very delicate situation that you have to handle very carefully. Like, they should, honestly, they got the worst of both worlds. They don't have the player playing. Yeah. And they look like spineless cowards who have no moral backing at all. They're just like, look at the numbers. What does Twitter say? What's the shirt sales going to be like?
How do we control the narrative?
Yeah, exactly. Rather than saying, listen, we don't stand by this club. Yeah. He's gone. You can still do an internal investigation. Talk to the player, talk to the victim, and say, listen, this is nothing's going to be used in the court of law here. You're safe from that, but we want to find out if you're going to work for us and wear our colours and represent us. This is what we want to know. Yeah. Get the ball, and you can say, listen, nothing leave this room. You're guaranteeing that, but we want to find out for our sake, and we'll make our decision then. They didn't do that. No. They were looking at, let's see if we can sneak this in. Let's see if this will play. And, what does that reflect in terms of goals, in terms of wins, in terms of that precious Champions League spot? Can Mason Greenwood get back into the Champions League spot next year? Like, that's what it comes down to. You just ignore the fucking real lives involved in this. Yeah. So it's a vile club. We'll have to say at the moment.
They've really given me a good kicking in the last few weeks. I couldn't care less about them at the moment.
And now look, you might say, well, we'll see what happens when your club, faces the music, and we will. Yeah. We were saying there at the start of the show, football seems to have entered into this kind of final phase of
it's
just
nasty.
greed and utter, ruthlessness, and just the people involved. No matter how awful the story is, they really don't care if it results in money and goals and wins.
I mean, if United were a more well-run club, they probably could have gotten away with bringing him back. If they were had this big evil plan, but it was planned correctly, they probably could have done it. Now, people would have been angry, but they probably could have gotten a few people on side. But just the way, so inept the way they did it, and then to even back out at the last second. So now you've annoyed even all the Mason Greenwood fanboys. You've lost everyone. Yeah. You didn't even keep them.
Yeah, no, again, you pick a moral thing, we don't care about that, or we do. But I mean, they've shown their hand and they have no moral backing. It's like, well, what way is the wind blowing? Because that's the way we're going.
Would it have been so hard to, when this all came out, go, okay, that doesn't look good for us as a club. Legally, let's find a way to release him. Put up a picture of the corner flag and say Mason Greenwood leaves Man United with immediate effect. It's done. You don't have to talk about it ever again. It's a storm you don't have to deal with.
Yeah, and the thing, again, it comes down to that he was really good at football.
Exactly.
And that's so transparent. It's like, that's what it was. You wanted to keep him because he's really good at football, and you're thinking of how much would it cost to get another Mason Greenwood? How much money reinvested him since he was 7?
If this was Axel Tuanzebe, I think this is done day one.
Yeah, you list off so many. Your man, the guy who was playing in the Europa League, he took it. Williams.
Brandon Williams.
Brandon Williams, who took off his Europa League second place. That's not good of this club. And they're actually, Brandon, you're not good of this club. You're out. Yeah, all they were thinking about wasn't return on investment here. We are so close to getting a massive return on investment. We can't let this ruin.
And even in pure football terms, he hasn't kicked a ball in 2 years. He's not going to be as good as he was. Cut him loose if you're so worried about the football aspect.
No, there's nothing in this that United have got right on any level. I don't think so. I mean, it's. Yeah, it's not great. As I said, the manager, on top of this, all people who have a moral objection to the whole Mason Greenwood stuff, and he hasn't covered himself in glory in that aspect, hasn't been covering himself in glory on the pitch either.
No, it seems he's bought the least compatible midfield I've ever seen in my life.
Well, I mean, I think Graham Souness is smirking away to himself somewhere.
I knew it. I knew Casemiro was a joke.
Casemiro looks a bit slower than last year. Maybe a little bit off the pace. Maybe not as motivated now to prove Real Madrid wrong. I think he did that last year. I think I've proved my point.
But also, Mason Mount and Bruno are sprinting all over the pitch. That's their job. But if they're doing that, you can't just do it by himself. Like, you need multiple players back there to do anything in the midfield.
Yeah, there's a reason a lot of teams went with the kind of double pivot.
Yeah.
You know, the people bemoaned the Rice and Calvin Phillips thing in the Euros for England. But I mean, they did get the final. They were pretty solid.
McFred were bad at it, but they weren't that bad.
But again, there's a reason why they did it.
Yeah.
You know, because it gives a good base for the attacking players like Bruno, like, you know, Rashford to a jumping off point. You know what I mean? Yeah, Mount is obviously under a lot of pressure to perform and score goals.
Do you want to know how much pressure he's under?
Give me an example, Will.
I saw a meme that popped up and it said, we're 5 away. 0-2.
Yeah, this is it. I have to get goals and assists because everything's a stat-based system now. You know, he can't be a sitting midfielder because that's not what he is. He gets goals and assists. So if he's not doing that, he's a failure.
Exactly. Yeah.
So he's under that pressure. Bruno Fernandes is now the captain, as well as being their appointed best player of the team.
Which, by the way, did you see Harry Maguire is staying to fight for his place?
Yeah. Maybe we should talk about that a little bit. I mean, the Harry Maguire stuff was that it was too prolonged for West Ham. They said, listen, we don't have time for this.
Yeah.
You know, one of our players has been implicated in a betting scandal.
We were just about to make lots of money, and now we're not making any money from Man City.
So it was kind of, Man United wanted him to go.
Yeah.
It says,
stripped him of the captaincy. You're no good.
You're no good. And now you have to go and you have to take a pay cut in wages, which we know players hate to do.
Yes.
So Harry Maguire said, pay me.
Exactly.
You know, you want me to go, pay me. I'm under contract. I have no obligation to go. Listen, no, he gave him the Harry Kane speech. No one made you sign that contract. You know, you signed that contract extension for me. You got to pay me. I'm not just going to go here. I'm going to leave some on the table.
Yeah. Now,
we saw, was it 2 years ago, how Barcelona treated Frankie de Jong?
Yes.
It can take a lot for a player to go, and even then, they won't, you know? So you got to do a lot to get Harry Maguire out of this contract, I think. You know, when there's money on the table, it's not smart to turn it down, especially when there's the kind of money flying around Saudi Arabia. You're thinking, well, I'm not going to leave this money behind, you know?
I could easily go to Saudi Arabia next year.
This is crazy, you know? So, like, I know you have the money. I know the money's out there.
Yeah.
If you want me to go, really badly want me to go, and by the way, they're getting money from me going.
Yeah.
Then fuck it. You know, I'm not going to be pushed around anymore. I've been pushed out for too long.
Yeah, you know, he's dead right.
100%. From the layman's point of view, fair play, Harry Maguire. Yeah. You know, this is exactly what I think I said Harry Kane there during that, but whatever. I meant Harry Maguire. Harry Maguire, he's doing the right thing. You know, sure,
fuck
he's
them.
been bad. He's let the team down, but no one made him sign that contract. Like you said, it's not one rule for players and one rule for clubs. Harry Kane had to stay, and everyone said, don't sign the contract, moron. I think the same thing for United. You know, don't sign the contract. If you want him to leave, then you got to pay him to go.
Yeah, and it does feel like United's transfer plans have been totally destroyed because they didn't think this could possibly happen. There was so much talk of like Amrabat's coming in, and then Pavard's coming in, and then we're getting a new goalie. That's all stopped dead because they're like, oh, we really needed that Maguire money.
Yeah, and McSauce is still hanging around too, isn't he?
McSauce is still there. They've sold Fred, and they're going to buy Amrabat with the Maguire money, but now Maguire's not gone, so they've sold Fred and didn't replace him. They're worse.
Well, it's at least some kind of foresight to not sell McTominay. That okay, well, we don't sell them both.
I think they would have if they could.
Won't sell them both at the same time. We got to see if this Maguire deal goes through. But yeah, apparently West Ham said they're not interested. They've walked away from the table. Very smart negotiation tactic there. Well, they got to be able to prepare to walk away. They might get a better deal now. Who knows? Because their chance window isn't close yet.
Yeah.
But I think if United want Maguire to go, how long have he left his contract? A year, 2 years?
I think it's a year or 2 years. Yeah. He's owed 12 million quid. So in football terms, that can't be too long. Probably 4 months or something.
That's nothing, like, really. You know, if you want, like, you know, trying to bully him out, they probably thought his spirit is broken from all the memes. We heard so on the No Nonsense podcast. We saw on the clip, you know. But
Roy Keane's working for them, for God's sake.
They thought the Roy Keane thing would put him over the edge. They thought, okay, well, this is really annoyed me now. I'm going to leave. But no, not the case.
Also, poor timing for United to put out an ad, how much they talk about how they're the devils.
I know. It's a pact.
We're evil.
Yeah, he's contracted until 2025. So
yes.
This year and next year, 2 years. I like to look at the transfer market rumors because they make 0 sense to me.
Yeah, the arrow is pointing left and right.
I have 2 Gur Roulette UFC. They are 52% and rising.
And buy.
We also have West Ham 62%, but going down.
Going down.
We have F1 1899 Zezged. I'm not sure exactly where they play, Will.
There's no way.
No, it's not let me see even, actually. But in 4th place, we have Real Madrid.
Yeah, okay. Well, Militao is out with an ACL.
I was about to say that they do have injuries, so but they're 47% and going down. So
down.
The Real Madrid rumors are cooling, but 47% probability of transfer to Real Madrid. Harry Maguire, currently rated at 20 million. Could be a steal. Look, they played Tottenham at the weekend.
Yes, who feel like the opposite. It seems like they sold Harry Kane and the shackles are off. They're free to play football again, lads.
Well, would we call it Ainge ball or Postecoglou-Ball or
Postecoglou-Ball? It is very entertaining, I will say.
Hey, they're pretty good, you know?
Yeah, they're really good to watch. Now, maybe that was United were so bad, but they were electric to watch. They were backheeling in between players' legs and everything.
Well, Yves Bissouma had the run in the field. That also helped. He looks like a man with the shackles loose. Perhaps imagined shackles that may have been coming for him. He also beat the case as it was. He had some allegations of his own a couple of years ago. He was found innocent of all those charges too, apparently. Again, I haven't read much of that case, but whatever, you know. This is what I'm saying. You can name so many players who've been, alleged, but he was unbelievable last night.
Maddison as well was amazing.
Yeah, because at the start I was like, they'll have probably Højbjerg, Skip, and Maddison. That's pretty alright. No, they won't. They'll have Bissouma, Sarr, and Maddison, which is infinitely better, seemingly.
I will say, with all their free-flowing attack of football, and they were great to watch, their goals weren't great, especially the second goal, which was a deflection and a missed kick, own goal. And then the first goal was like a weird deflection in the box into just a good finish. But it was like, it wasn't like 2 moments of magic that created the goal.
Yeah. Who would you say is Tottenham's best right back?
Fucking hell, I have no idea. Is Pedro Porro on that side?
He is, and
yeah.
Is that who you'd say?
Yeah, well, he looked good in that game.
I would say Emerson Royale with ease. That's what you get that, Will?
I did, yeah, the cheese thing.
Yeah, the cheese thing. Well, that's the show, folks. Again, subscribe to Patreon. He played Royale with ease played last week. It was defensively kind of poor, but good going forward. So let's give Pedro a go. He was good going forward and defensively kind of poor. So I don't know. The same problem with both right backs. Attacking very good. And again, I thought Davis would probably play left back. I think it was Udogie.
Yeah.
Tottenham have that Udogie in them, Will. Hey, this is a fun team. I'm telling you now.
Yeah, they're good crack.
This is going to be a good team to cover.
Postecoglou also, great crack.
Yes, anybody did see his fancy football, his ruining that he can't play fancy football anymore.
Is it legally not allowed? Why can't he do that? I saw Salah said he captained himself.
It's a grey area, all right? Don't worry about it.
I mean, if Salah's allowed captain himself, surely he's like trying to score more. What if he wins the FPL league? Surely that's some kind of match fixing.
Well, there was 3 Burnley players who had Haaland as captain the first day, and they got the 2 goals to him.
If they're in a league with any kind of a money prize, that has to be illegal.
It has to. This actually might be a grey area. To be fair to Ivan Toney, this may actually be a grey area.
If there's £100 on the line for the winner of that league, and they're footballers, it's probably a lot more than that.
Well,
you can't be doing that.
Well, think about it this way, right? Just say my cousin's friend's roommate, someone who works with, is in a league with Evan Ferguson. And he's captained, Rashford, and they're playing Brighton this week. I go, I'm going to bet all I'm winning Rashford to score.
Yeah, he knows something about the Brighton defence.
Exactly. Something like that. That's where you can get into kind of the betting area of like, okay, inside information, it's being publicly shared to people.
I think we've blown this case wide open.
Yeah.
Get the Athletic on this.
Yeah, but there was a funny clip of Ange Postecoglou saying he's a bit short in interviews sometimes, a bit snappy because he said, I can't play fantasy football anymore, after 20 years of playing, so that's a bit annoying. And someone said, because you're a Premier League manager. And I went, yeah, correct, good one, I'm a Premier League manager. And then he went, all right, that was with me. And he goes, it's not a fantasy anymore, mate. And then he kind of like made it like kind of laughing, jokey, but he was kind of like annoyed, like, yeah, obviously, I just said that. Not so many words, but I just said that. Do you get paid for this? Because did you see before where some journalist came with a picture of Charlie Kane holding the Bayern Munich jersey? They went, very good. Travel all the way to do that, did you? No, good waste of your time. He was so annoyed at us.
But he was probably the reason Kane went, because every interview with him was like, I hate this. I hate this is taking time.
Yeah.
Like the transfer was going. Whereas like Conte and Mourinho are both like, we need Harry Kane, we need our best players here. We can't lose him. Whereas he was like, this is bollocks.
Well, who knows what Levy was telling Conte. He was like, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I gave him a verbal agreement. Oh, yeah. I'm doing a few of them my time too, Levy. Right, yeah.
And then they both slowly shook hands and like looked at each other in the eye.
Yeah, whereas he was telling Ange Postecoglou, yeah, he's gone, probably. I don't know, maybe.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, well, is he or not? I don't know. I can't say. He's like, fuck's sake, tell me or not. Let me plan with Richarlison.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, Richarlison also playing like Mason Mount, except they're winning, but he looks like he's under pressure to score all the goals.
He is under pressure, not from the fans, not from the general public, from Callum Wilson and Mikel Antonio.
And more specifically, Callum Wilson and Mikel Antonio's podcast, where they keep making fun of him.
Gone to Luca Paqueta, obviously they play with each other. I went, what is wrong with your boy? Like, it's a bit of banter. Like, I don't understand why is he taking it so personally. Like, to the stage that his manager has to talk. Lucas is like, he's just how he is, Mikey. I told him that's how you are, but he said, no. When we play against them, I'm not going to shake his hands.
Nah, don't lie. So that means he's not going to shake my hand.
He's not going to shake my hand. And I'm like, it's bad.
Just to give context to this whole situation, Richarlison had a response to a TikTok clip that went out last season about you and Callum when you were bantering him about taking his shirt off when he scores a goal.
I'm not going to speak about the person who's in the position right now. I'm just going to say Tottenham needs to sign a striker. I'll leave it at that.
That speaks 1,000 words.
Yeah.
He who can't be named.
It can't be allowed. This is insane.
But it's funny because they're making fun of him and they keep scoring themselves.
Not good luck.
Richardson definitely has like a whiteboard in his house. Well, Callum Wilson 1, Antonio 1, Richardson 0. 2 games played by all. He's like fuck. He's definitely going to, like, at the end of the year he's going to tweet and go, how many goals you score if he scores more? Do you know what I mean? Because on the podcast they were talking to Paqueta, another Brazilian, a compatriot of Richarlison, and I was saying, what's this guy's problem? Why is he taking this so serious? Because like, yeah, it's just the kind of guy he is. Doesn't like having his whole career undermined, I guess. But they're still laughing about him, being like, he needs to relax, man. We're just making fun of things that happened,
That clip, we'll play the clip, but the bit where they're like, some players get a bit annoyed. He who shall not be named.
Oh yeah, that they wouldn't, after naming him, like we know what he's talking about. Yeah, it's a wild ride for Richarlison. He also ended that clip with saying that they need to sign a striker. Like, that's mad.
That's so disrespectful to like a fellow. He's one of you. You should be. Like, where's the union?
Yeah, like, I mean, I know it's competitiveness, but like at the same time, it's not like it's Man City and Liverpool here. It's not,
especially with like all the never-ending criticism from social media and stuff. Don't fucking add to it.
Yeah,
lads.
You're saying like all I'm saying is Tommy the striker. It's like fucking hell, And then you see him going out there against United, and he was snatching at shots. Like you could see it in real time. This guy's been affected by this.
Yeah.
So and he's good. Like, he is good. When he's playing with Brazil, he's obviously just like totally relaxed, totally free. Like, I can do what I want here. They respect my talent. Whereas at Tottenham, he's under pressure.
Yeah.
And like you said yourself there, that the 2 goals, they weren't amazing finishes. So like they really do need someone to start scoring for them. I'm getting to the point now I'm almost rooting for Richarlison. Like, he's like just
he's a lovable character.
He's so unlikable. He's so unlike with his dancing and his mean mugging all the time. It's like, oh man, relax. But then when I say this, I'm like, oh yeah, he's a real person. Sometimes I forget that he's a real person. Like, you need to actually give a break. So I hope he starts scoring. The only thing is he'll immediately lose me when he tweets back at them being like, see?
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, look, it'll be, again, a wild ride for Richarlison's a wild ride.
Yeah, good title, maybe.
Yeah, that could be in there. The other big result was City playing Newcastle.
Mm-hmm.
Money be money, Will.
Yes. The Gulf War.
Aye, here we go. What's sort of those charges, by the way? Any update on the charges?
They'll get there.
Let me quick look on the.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Here there. So charges. May is the last story I'm seeing here. Well, interesting.
Before the treble.
Before the treble. Yeah. Anyhow, they went toe to toe. City kind of on one leg, if you will. Kind of City's version of one leg. No De Bruyne. He's out till I think Christmas, is it?
It's a few months. He got surgery anyway.
God, I hope that does happen to me, Will.
One more.
We are linked, of course. Our bodies. John Stones now also out. Johnny Beckenbauer of last year, kind of a sweeper, midfielder, centre back, unbelievable player. He's also out now till after the international break, which is like a month, I guess, 4 weeks or so. But they still have players like Phil Foden. Phil Foden filling in for Kevin De Bruyne as the attack midfielder, kind of doing what Grealish you would have thought might have been doing when he signed first. Because he's playing in the middle there, and he played very well against Newcastle. Kind of played, I suppose, in between the spaces. He's very quick, and his control makes him quicker because he doesn't waste any kind of yards. Do you know what I mean? The balls he was playing through to Haaland, like Haaland was kind of misfiring a bit, like strangely, but he could have had a couple of goals himself. Haaland from Foden's balls, but it was Julian Alvarez with a great strike actually from a Foden assist. Like, they just have so many players, it's hard to look past them, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like when they lose De Bruyne and they don't miss a step, it is tough to look past them. And especially when they do have some new players coming in. I saw they signed Doku today for 60 million, another 60 million spent. So it's just a revolving door. It doesn't matter. Yeah.
Grealish was actually playing in that game. I was thinking of the Burnley game where he didn't play. Still nursing the hangover, probably. I imagine that Burnley game. But he's back. He's back on the left wing for this game. I think Ford was kind of coming into the middle and doing the kind of De Bruyne role. It's still a very, very strong team, But the other side of it is Newcastle were not beaten badly. They were quite rough, I thought. Quite a good few warranted yellows. They came with a very obvious tactic, I thought. They brought on, again, all their stars. Wilson and Barnes came on, Longstaff and Livramento, all the players I mentioned last week's pod. But it wasn't enough to get a goal. Actually, I think maybe City could have got more if Haaland stuck a few, but don't worry about him. Don't worry about Haaland getting goals. That'll come for the lad.
Don't feel sorry for him.
No. The big story for Newcastle was that Joe Linton got injured. That's why he went off. So this is what we were saying with the Champions League and tough games, and you're making that push. You will get injuries. So we'll see how they go on. Obviously, it's to lose 1-0 in City. No shame in that at all.
Happens to the best of us.
Happens to pretty much everyone else all the time. So fair play. But one team that we thought might be challenging for the title, Chelsea.
We did say this is the year.
Spent a lot,
all clicks.
Spent a lot of money.
Yeah. But what does that really mean anymore?
I don't know. I saw a few videos on Chelsea spending explained. Have you seen these?
Yeah, I saw Simon Jordan.
Yeah, that's what I saw too.
Did you see the Twitter thread responded to him that listed nearly every sentence he said and why it was wrong?
Oh no, really?
Yeah.
He talks a lot of shite. He does.
Yeah. Because a lot of the comments were like, okay, mate, you've run one club into administration.
Yeah, well, look, they've spent a lot of money and they haven't broken any rules yet. The loophole, as I understood it, was the long contracts spaced over years. That's the kind of the simple version.
It's a loophole now, but I mean, you're stuck with a lot of fellas that maybe you won't be able to get rid of over time. And also, how hard are these players going to try when they're guaranteed the next 9 years?
Well, look, they're pioneering a new system for sure. We'll see how it plays out. There's not much precedent for us.
Swiftly outlawed soon, I'd say.
Well, I thought it was. I thought they closed loophole, but then Caicedo was reportedly had another 8-year contract as well. Was that? Is that how he signed? Is that how he?
Yeah, he had a long one. It was 8 or 9. Levy is there till 2030. Is it?
Oh, he's only a chap. We'll wind that. So yeah, it looks like it hasn't been closed yet. Maybe they'll close it next year. I don't know. They have a few more weeks of signing players on ridiculously long contracts before it's closed forever, maybe. But yeah, we talked about last week the Caicedo and Levy fiascos, bona fide fiascos.
Yeah.
He didn't start. They rarely do when they sign first.
Because he wasn't training. He was trying to force his way out of the club. He has been busy.
Unfortunately, at Brighton. Contracted until June 30th, 2031. Caicedo was
31. They went beyond 30.
Jesus Christ, man. All our listeners will be 30 then, Yeah, he started, didn't start, he came on. And he helped Chelsea concede one more goal before the game was over. They lost 3-1 to the rampaging Antonio and his West Ham Chargers.
We mentioned earlier it's all about the stat line.
Yeah.
That's all anyone cares about. Would you like to hear Caicedo's stat line, which was broadly retweeted or re-X'd?
Re-X'd is cool. I like that.
37 minutes played, 8 losses of possession, 2 fouls, 1 shot off target, 1 error leading to goal, 1 penalty conceded.
Well, the error leading to goal is surely the penalty, is it?
That's what I would have thought.
I think they're buffing up those stats a little bit by repeating them.
Yeah. There was a lot of people delighted to see this happen to young Caicedo. Ha! Take that. That's what you get for not signing to our club for 120 million.
Yeah.
As if this is as good as he ever is. Like, as if he's never... You were dying to sign him last week because he's such a good player.
Yeah. Well, that's it. And that's the funny thing, like you're saying about the kind of the transfer window and memes and all that stuff. It's like, it's not Brighton fans.
Yeah.
It's other fans of clubs who have nothing to do with them at this point, who are like,
yeah, exactly.
This is what you get. Ha ha ha.
It really feels like, honestly, the whole getting paid for tweets now, that's changed the game.
Yes.
Everyone is trying to be as nasty as possible.
Yeah, it's how do I get traction on this? What sells? Hate.
Yeah.
And like you're saying there about the memes, I saw a tier list of managers already after week 1, and it had David Moyes in the bottom rung. Bad manager.
This reminds me as well. Do you know what I saw before the season started that I was dying laughing at? I saw a YouTuber had a tier list of his Premier League predictions for this year. So he had the league, but he had it done out in like a pyramid system of like 20 to 17 at the bottom and up at the top, rather than just using the league.
He used a tier list of that is insane. Again, he's like, what works? The tier list system works.
It's all that's the future. Turn the league into a tier list.
Scum tier at the bottom, get relegated. God tier, get Champions League. Yeah, oh, stop. There has been a real, I think Elon Musk has changed things once again for the worst. Football Twitter is just, it's a mass with like, what's an absolute I can say at the end of every game week, and how abusive, and how can I make this the biggest fishing rod I can and try and get people to tweet back at me and get engagement.
And even it feels like some of the, like, people should know better, like some football journalists now tweet a few things. Like I saw Paul Joyce, who's one of the main Liverpool reporters, tweeted 120 million doesn't get you a lot these days. Again, Caicedo's like 20. He's like 20 years of age, the poor chap.
Yeah, and has had 1.5 of football for Chelsea.
Yeah, like you're a journalist, and I saw like lots of stuff like that. I saw journalists saying like, oh, no striker for United, poor planning once again. It's like, well, the striker's injured and Martial's on the bench.
Yeah.
So like, better than these things.
Yeah, but it's again, they want people to say that to them in the replies,
Exactly,
sound off in the replies.
Yeah.
It's all about that engagement, all that money. Listen, if you want to give us money, follow us on X, follow us on Instagram, follow us on all the socials, We'll say the most outrageous things that we don't even say in the pods.
Yeah, well, hey, if you want us to get more outrageous, let us know in the comments.
We should get someone to do the social media like that who just says the most outrageous things.
We should hire like one of the football Twitter boys. Just pick a random one from a comment section,
and then just like never read it, and then come on here and say the most like like lukewarm takes we could think of, and then but our Twitter is just like insanely crazy. People come on the pod and we go, yeah, I think he's like a good player. Like, I think he's young. So, I don't know. We'll see.
Meanwhile, our profile picture on Instagram is Mason Greenwood.
yeah. Exactly.
Honestly, that is nonsense. Nonsense. All nonsense.
They say many garbage things.
You don't know what you're going to get. This is a shameful, disgraceful piece of nonsense.
He was miles off it yesterday.
You'll learn a lot more if you listen rather than talk all the time.
No problem.